Okay, so welcome to part 5 on the core functions of child protection and child protection systems. So we're going to start with a question again. The fundamental job of a child protection worker is to A. Strengthen the community, B. Help parents improve core parenting skills, C. Protect the rights and safety of children, D. Prepare legal documents for court proceedings, and E. Remove children from homes that are unsafe. The correct answer is C, because C would technically encompass all of the other answers. It is an unofficial all of the above response to protect the rights and safety of children. That is the overarching job of a child protection worker. Whether that might mean strengthening the community or helping parents improve their parenting skills or preparing legal documents, or in some cases, removing the child from the household. So, what is child protection? So UNICEF uses the term child protection to refer to preventing and responding to violence, exploitation, and abuse against children. This includes commercial sexual exploitation, trafficking, child labor, and harmful traditional practices like female genital mutilation, cutting, or child marriage. The goal of child protection is to promote, protect, and fulfill children's rights to protection from abuse, neglect, exploitation, and violence, as expressed in the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, and other human rights, humanitarian, and refugee treaties and conventions, in addition to national laws. And these are just a little bit of points of information to note. Almost 600 people were brought before the courts in 2019 for crimes against children in that year. According to the Child Protection Unit, 90% of crimes against children are committed by adults. And finally, while Trinidad and Tobago is being praised by other Caribbean countries for having robust child protection systems, there is still a need to strengthen our foster care system. What is a child protection system? It can be defined as the certain formal and informal structures, functions, and capacities that have been assembled to prevent and respond to violence, abuse, neglect, and exploitation of children. In the family, school, and the community, children should be fully protected so that they can survive, grow, learn, and develop to their fullest potential. Millions of children, unfortunately, are not provided this protection. So here we have the 5 P's of child protection, the fundamental elements in the child protection process. Prevention of maltreatment in the first place, paramountcy, or the idea that the needs of the child comes first. Again, back to the UNCRC, all decisions need to be made in the best possible interest of the child. Then we have partnership between organizations like Children's Authority and ChildLine and all other organizations that have a part to play in child protection. Then, of course, the 4th P is protection, and the 5th P is parental responsibility, because while it is the job of certain agencies and organizations and government officials to ensure that this happens, parents also have a fundamental responsibility for their own children. So now we're going into the function of child protection systems. Protection workers receive reports from people who believe on reasonable grounds that a child is in need of protection. So if you see something, you say something. Child protection systems also provide advice to people who report on such concerns. They investigate matters where it is believed that a child may have been abused or is at risk of being abused. It also serves the function of referring children and families to services that can help to provide them with ongoing safety and things necessary for the well-being of the child. They also take matters before the children's court if the child's safety cannot be assured within the family. And in that case, we're talking about possibly removing the child if necessary. Supervises children on legal orders granted by the children's court. Right, so reports on children's progress through the following stages. So each of these represents a stage in the process. Registry. receives the report and determines the level of risk. Investigation, the liaising with persons who interact with the child in order to better understand the issues and what actually happened and who was involved in the situation. Assessment, the evaluation of the needs of the child and making recommendations for future care and what is to be done with this child, where do we take this child. Again, always in the best interest of the child, sometimes that's not necessarily what the child wants. The child might still want to stay with their abuser because that's their mom or their dad or their big brother or whatever the case may be. But the decision has to be made for the safety and the sanity of that child. Placement, making a decision on the most suitable home placement for the child, whether that is with another relative who is equipped to take care of the child and willing to take care of the child, or if that's with the foster care system. Then we have the final stage, aftercare, implementing the necessary care that was recommended at the assessment stage for this child. And that might include long-term counseling as well. So this will bring us to the end of part 5. This one is a bit shorter, and next we will go on to specific child protection systems in Trinidad and Tobago and how they work and how the reporting process is done.